today to talk to you about what I've been eating. So anybody who follows me on Instagram knows that I've been currently, at least this year, keeping a food diary. I'm trying to be accountable to myself and just be transparent because, yeah, I don't eat the greatest every single day. I try to. I have great intentions, but like anybody else, it doesn't always happen. If you've been following my food diary for the last week and a half, you'll probably have noticed that not everything is the greatest thing for me to be eating. There have been a lot of life factors that have led me to not eat as well as I know I should. Life factor number one, my husband and I live with my parents. Now, as far as I know, a lot of Americans have had to move back in with their parents, and this is not anything new under the sun. For adults, sharing a space out of necessity rather than necessarily by choosing leads to a lot of different opinions, a lot of different feelings about things, and, in this case, different diets. My father chooses to follow the South Beach diet way of eating, which seems to work for him when he's actually following it. My mother had a gastric bypass 7 or 8 years ago, so there are some restrictions there. My husband will pretty much eat anything I feed him, pretty much, because I try not to make food boring, even if it's healthy. My son, well, is as consistent in what he likes as any toddler can be, which is to say never. Up until very recently, I have been responsible for cooking the dinners in this house. I've had some control over what I eat because I have 4 different appetites to feed. My mother cannot do spicy, especially after her surgery. My father likes spicy, but he prefers a very protein-heavy dinner, and I'm a very firm believer in more veggies, less meat when it comes to dinner time. Not even just less meat, I really have always liked the idea of half of your plate being veggies, which is part of why I liked the purification diet, because veggies, veggies, veggies. Very recently, my father and I have started to share the dinner duties. That has led to some very interesting things when it comes to my food. During the diet that I did with my mother-in-law, he was very accepting of my alternate choices because I was willing to make it, and in his words, it wasn't a permanent change. Another thing that my parents firmly believe in is that everybody eats dinner together as a family, and everybody eats the same thing or pretty much the same thing. That being said, my father does not like it when I eat a completely separate meal from them, even if I'm willing to cook it, especially if he's in there cooking and I'm not cooking. He's a little more understanding, I guess you could say, if I'm doing the cooking and that I choose to make something else for myself. However, recently he asked me why I wasn't eating normally again now that the 21 days were up, and I couldn't even begin to explain to him why I was not choosing to eat normally. I really wish that I could continue to eat the way that I had been during the last week of the diet. I think that was like perfect. It was a small bit of protein and lots of veggies, and sometimes a starch if I felt like it, but I was never like dying for starchy. I mean, potatoes, yes, those are starchy, but I wasn't, going, oh my god, where's my pasta? Where's my rice? I mean, I like them, but I was doing okay without them. I was very happily eating tons of veggies, and I think my body was pretty happy with it too. And also, being that we live with my parents right now, it means that they have a greater control over the food budget. I have previously attempted to keep my own food and do my own thing when we were living in Georgia, and that did not work out because I was spending $500 a month on food. About sometimes $250 a month of that would be for my husband and I to eat, and the rest of that would be towards family dinners. In the end, I ended up wasting a lot of money that way, and I could have been saving for so much. if I had just given it up. So, within a week and a half, I'm sure you can go and flick through my food diary and see, that doesn't look the greatest, or that portion was a little too big. Another life factor, I guess you could say, is inconsistent income. Means that I cannot buy everything and anything that I want to support the way I'd like to eat right now. I wanted cauliflower to go into the lunch that I was meal prepping for this week, and lo and behold, cauliflower now costs an arm and a leg. Or maybe I just haven't paid attention previously. Now, those two life factors aside, things that have been working for me, and I'm very excited that they have, meal prepping. Seriously? Meal prepping. I know, it's all over. Everybody's been doing it. Duh, what took me so long to catch on? I don't know. I was lazy. I didn't think it'd work for me. I don't know why. I don't care about eating the same food over and over and over again. But on the same hand, I also like to try new recipes all the time. I love finding new recipes, especially usually centering around one theme. It's like when I discovered sweet potatoes, suddenly I was finding every sweet potato recipe I could find to have variation. So a couple of weeks ago, I decided to pick up one of my cookbooks that I bought and then subsequently barely used to start meal prepping from. I decided I was going to pick a recipe, I was going to make it, and I'd eat it. And so I'm currently working through Quick Fix Vegan, and I will insert picture here. I've been having a lot of fun with that. In fact, I've already picked out next week's, and I have to keep reminding myself it is only the beginning of this week, and I shouldn't be meal prepping this far in advance. I'm forcing myself to wait until Saturday. I want to do it now. I'm planning on making a chocolate chipotle chili, even though it's vegan, and my brother-in-law would argue with me that that means it's not really chili. And yes, given the history of chili, I know. Whatever. That's definitely been helping me with my portion sizes, knowing where my calories are coming from for the day, what I want to aim for dinner. There are a lot of recipes in that book, and so I'm going to have lots of meals for lots of weeks before I need to move on to another book. Speaking of vegan, now, I already said in one of my previous videos that I could never go full on vegan. However, I'm very enamored of the idea of less meat and more veggies. I said that phrase earlier, but it's just what I call it in my head. I really enjoyed how my body seemed to react to having way more veggies and actually less protein. I'm starting to think that I was eating too much protein, which was a holdover from when I was pregnant and following the Bradley diet. But I've decided that on my first rest day of the week, I will be active, which means I'll still probably do something like yoga or maybe go for a walk, but it'll be an official rest day, but also a vegan rest day, or perhaps just vegan before 5 and really scale back the animal products in my diet for the day and see where that gets me. I did it last week on an unscheduled rest day because I was feeling bloaty and PMSy like nobody's business, and it helped cut back on that bloat. Feeling like I have absolutely no control over any aspect of my life has not been helping with the depression. That I have to remind myself is not actually true. I do have control over a lot. It is so very tempting in the last week and a half to just give up the cleaner eating, the better eating, just because I'm tired of fighting. But I have to remind myself that I'm fighting for me, and I'm fighting to be a better mother to my son, and most of the time that works. And I'm not gonna lie, it is hard. A lot of people have issues with this, it's not just me. It's also been very tempting to give up the eating that I had been doing because it is a lot of work But then again, I really liked the results I saw, and I'd love to be able to make sure that it wasn't just a one-time thing. So that is it. If you guys have any questions or comments, please comment below. Any video suggestions, anything that if you are a fellow sufferer from depression, want to know how I deal with things or don't deal with things, go ahead and ask, and I will see about what I can do.